Hello, so the new moon will be happening on the 30th of May, and this is a collective message for everyone. This new moon will be happening in the sign of Gemini. Happy birthday to all the Geminis. The sun is in Gemini, it's Gemini season, and the moon, new moon, will be in the sign of Gemini. So collectively, how will we all be feeling under this new moon? Basically, when it comes to Gemini, Gemini is an air sign. So it has to do with our intellect, our thinking, our communication. It also, when it comes to Gemini, it wants to get going. It wants to move things along. It wants things to happen quickly. It's fast moving, and it also has to deal with duality, right? It deals with our day-to-day lives, the things that we are basically doing, the actions we're taking, the communication that we are taking, the negotiations in our lives. All of that energy. And this new moon is offering a new beginning, especially after the eclipse season and all the releasing and all the letting go that we're doing. So there was a lot of healing that's coming through with this new moon being in the sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury has to do with communication, our thinking. It has to do with travel. It has to do with movement. Right, so travel, technology, all of those things. And we can have a lot, like I said, going on in Gemini because it's ruled by the energy of the twins that represents Gemini. So doing things at once, it's like you need to take care of this and you need to take care of that. You're pulled in two different directions, but you have the capability, the energy, the mental capacity to do it. Gemini also seeks information, right? So that's the energy of it. Now, the ruler of Gemini is in retrograde, which is Mercury, and it will be retrograding at the time of this new moon in the sign of Taurus. Okay, so Taurus and Mercury doesn't really like to be in Taurus because Mercury is fast moving, right? It wants to move things along, it wants to initiate change, it wants to communicate, it wants to do this and that. It wants all of this energy. But in Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign, it's about taking things slow, right? This is where, Mercury can also feel a bit frustrated, where it has to process things, think about things before moving. And we are in a Mercury retrograde, which will be ending on the 3rd of June. So during this new moon, we have a Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrogrades can bring up miscommunication, past experiences, where we are thinking a lot about the past. We're also in a mental fog. Our communication and what we want to express, it's a bit more slow and hard to come about during a Mercury retrograde, and where we can sometimes say something we don't mean before thinking about it because mentally we're in this fog. And that happens during a Mercury retrograde. It's important to also note about gossip coming to light. The thing about Gemini season is there's so much communication happening and there's so much wanting to talk. It inspires us to communicate, to express ourselves. That sometimes this is where information comes to light, right? And this can be good information or bad information because Gemini rules the duality of things, the good and the bad. And that's the energy of it. So sometimes we might find out information that either we needed, or we might even find out gossip, or who's gossiping, or who's sharing rumors about us. It's important to note not to get into that energy yourself, into gossiping or rumors. It's never a good thing. Try and just stay clear of it, right? And because it is a Mercury retrograde, be aware of what you're communicating and who you're communicating it to, so it doesn't come back to get you. And that's important. Now, this Mercury retrograde in Taurus is in a square to Saturn. So we feel restricted and frustrated. So already Mercury doesn't really like to be in Taurus. So here we can feel restricted, frustrated. Things can feel a bit chaotic. Like we are thinking things, we want to express ourselves. But at the same time, the Saturn energy is restricting us. And this can also do with basically people in power. So authority figures. It has to do with like employers or anyone that is an authority over you, where you can feel restricted on what you want to say and what you exactly are thinking. Also power struggles. So this can even revolve about any person that has the authority over you, makes it difficult for you to express yourself. So employers, like I said, places where you work. It can also be even family members or someone can now come into your life and be like, no, I want to control the situation. Saturn likes to control things. It has boundaries, the Saturn rings. So we can feel a bit controlled and frustrated by this energy, and that can create the chaos. What's important to note, because it's a Mercury retrograde and because Mercury is in Taurus, we need to slow down. All the ideas and things we want to implement, this new moon is bringing it to us, but it's telling us to take a moment, to take a breath, because Mercury is in Taurus. We need to plant it like seeds. We need to allow it for our energy of what we are thinking and what we want to do and the changes we want to create and the new beginnings to sprout. We are basically also in this place of just that we've been through that lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and Mercury is now in Taurus, the opposite sign. So we're also clearing out stuff and transformation and pain of what happened during the lunar eclipse. What fears came to light, what anxieties came to light, what truths came to light. So there's a lot that we are processing, and it's important to take things slow with this Mercury being in Taurus. Now, the Mercury also makes a beautiful sextile to Neptune. That's a harmonious aspect, whereas it squares Saturn, and Neptune's in Pisces. So we'll be thinking a lot about our dreams, right? About what we're dreaming and what we hope to come about in our lives. And also offers a gentle aspect. There's a trine to Pluto in Capricorn, and that is wanting us to find our innate power within ourselves and know that we are capable of change, right? We've been going through a process of change with the eclipse season that just happened, and with this new moon, with Mercury retrograde in Taurus, trining Pluto in Capricorn, is about transformation, change, and knowing that the innate power within us exists. And that is what we need to connect to and not get stuck in power struggles with the square to Saturn. To take a moment and take your time. Mercury is still in retrograde. It goes direct on the 3rd of June. So that means take your time until you get there. Everything that you're thinking about, everything that you're wanting to happen will come about. Don't get into the power struggles and the dynamics of authority and, aggressive kind of energy. It can bring that because Mercury in Taurus is stubborn. It's my opinion. It's about what I think and feel, what is important to me. It has all those energy of it, and also a kind of aggressive way of wanting it. That we are not in the Gemini energy of kind of seeing the perspective. So the sun, the new moon wants us to gain perspective, gain clarity, see both sides, right? Whereas this Taurus, Mercury retrograde, is kind of like you're feeling a bit stuck in how you are thinking. And everyone is feeling that. And that can feel like where someone is wanting to oppose their thoughts, their ideas, what they want upon you. Now, the North Node is in Taurus. It's important to hold in your heart and in your mind what you value, what's of worth within your life, and what's no longer of worth. And that's important when we look at our lives and what we want to create and want to create with the North Node in Taurus, a sense of stability. So what's of value? And this can even be, like I always say, with Taurus energy, value is not just your couch or your car. It has to do with value also of people. How much value do they add to your life? What relationships are giving you what? And what we are talking about, this exchange of energy. Are relationships bogging you down, controlling you, manipulating you? This is the energy where you'll feel like you want to disengage from that, because the North Node is pushing you towards what is of value. And how do you know value of the relationships, the people, the situations in your life? Is by knowing your worth. So that's the energy of the North Node, that is the destiny point that is pushing us forward to what we want to bring with this Mercury retrograde in Taurus, which is telling us, yes, think about the past and what you have learned. What have you learned when it came to your relationships? Remember that Taurus is Venus ruled. So think about what you've learned with your relationships, what you've learned about yourself, your value, the things in your life, and what do you want to create. There's a lot of creative energy in the Taurus energy, and this Mercury retrograde is giving us that energy to slow down, to plant the seeds of what we want to create in our lives in a beautiful way. And Gemini is giving us the energy to see perspective, to gain perspective and not get lost in the drama. And that can happen in Gemini season, where communication just wants to flow and people just want to say what's on their mind and people just want to do what they want to do. They want to go get going kind of energy. And it's important to be aware of that. And everyone is feeling that. And the Taurus energy with the Mercury retrograde is keeping us a bit like still. And that can be frustrating. And that's where the conflict can arise. So take your time with it. Be gentle with yourself during this time. Don't overthink things. Don't go into a panic of overthinking and, just getting into a state of restricting yourself because your thoughts are trying to push you so far ahead that you're not focusing on the now and what you need to take care of now. And the first things that you need to take care of is what's a priority and looking at yourself too. Remember, you can't fill from an empty cup. You can't give to others what you don't have. So you got to take care of you. You got to be in alignment with your values and you got to be at peace with that in order to create dialogue and in order to initiate change and allow for new beginnings to enter into your life. So that's what you need to do. This is a beautiful new moon. There's a lot of healing energy coming through with this new moon, right? But we need to remember that we mustn't get lost. And that's the thing too about Gemini energy. It can get us feeling very distracted. Anything can distract us or call our attention. Next thing you're busy with this, and next thing you're taking care of that drama that you're not focusing. We can lose focus easily with Gemini season because it's Mercury and it's duality and we're doing a lot. So we're not taking the time. And maybe that's what the Mercury retrograde in Taurus wants from us, to take our time before we initiate dialogue, before we implement our plans. Think it through, take your time, don't rush things. A Saturn too is holding us back from even wanting to do those things. And that can be frustrating. And that can explain why a lot of people might feel frustrated during this time. But breathe, because Gemini is an air sign. Breathe through it. Take your time, stay present, see what's of value to you. Know that you have lots of ideas and plans coming through and you can bring them about. And after June 3rd, it'll be sprouting and you can move forward in the direction that you want to move to. Thank you so much for watching. Do like and subscribe, comment down below. There'll also be a link if you would like a reading as well as a link for appreciation of these videos.